Politics ought to be the part-time profession of every citizen who would protect the rights and privileges of free people. A statement by Dwight D. Eisenhower. And the first requirement of politics is not intellect or stamina, but patience. Politics is a very long run game, and the tortoise will usually beat the hare. A quote by John Major urges me to welcome you to this episode of Atn Politics. Atn Politics is the network's flagship program that discusses core political trends with relevant political stakeholders. And today on Atn Politics, we will be discussing core issues from different political landscapes, such as in Edo State, hundreds dump PDP and others for the APC. In Ogun State, APC bars unauthorized meetings. And in politics, Atiku accused Tinubu of hijacking the oil industry. And also Osibanjo, Peter Obi, and Namane attend the Democratic National Convention in the United States of America. I am your host, Raymond Ken Mbata, and before I welcome our guests to the studio, I want us to go for this very short break, and before you know it, we're back for business as usual. Please stay tuned. Good to have you back on ATN Politics, right here in the studios of Atlantic Television Network in the big city of Port Harcourt, the political city of Port Harcourt. Port Harcourt controls the political landscape of Nigeria as of today. And it's my pleasure to welcome a political analyst and a friend of the house, Okechukwu Edenkwo. It's a pleasure, sir, having you on ATN Politics again.
Always a great delight to be here.
Definitely, sir. Welcome, sir. All right, without taking any much of your time, we'll head on to the first story for discussion and dissection today. Hundreds of members of the People's Democratic Party, that's the PDP, and the Labour Party, LP, and the African Democratic Congress yesterday dumped their parties and defected to the All Progressive Congress, the APC, during the ongoing word-to-word campaign of the party at the Igweben headquarters at Igweben local government area of Edo State. Director General of All Progressive Congress Campaign Council, Matthew Uhoride, while receiving the defectors, assured them of fair treatment, saying all members are equal in the APC. He told the crowd of party members and supporters that he believes in Monday Okpebolo as a good candidate that will listen to the yearnings of the people. Also speaking, the coordinator of APC Campaign Council in Edo State Senatorial District Central, Ediano Sen Okoje, appealed to the defectors to come out en masse on September the 21st to cast their votes for the party. Yes, sir. The ground is already watered. What is left is for the seeds to be planted and germination to occur, which in other terms means the field is prepared for the politicians to do what they do best. And then the polls on September the 21st is going to reveal the results if the seeds germinated or not. They are currently in Edo Central, which is the home front of the APC, and hundreds have left their other parties in hundreds and moved over to the PDP. Do you see that as a good sign for the APC, or it's just gimmicks as usual?
Well, for me, every election season could be likened to the transfer season of every football league.
Okay.
It's a period where people move in mass or in drove from party A to party B, especially those who are aggrieved in party A, okay, and B could move to party C. Or there's this crisscrossing of dissatisfied, yes, affected, or disgruntled members moving. Moving at this point, few days to an election, what is your aim? Another question, who are the people? Do they have electoral value? Do they have what it takes to mobilize at the grassroots properly? I pray it doesn't be one of those gimmicks of those stuck in trade, or who's stuck in trade is pure politics to see how they can cash out from the candidate and from the party with some frivolous and ambiguous promises. The only thing, it will be translated into votes proper. Then at the end of the day, let's see how their support will deliver the candidate. Otherwise, at this point, I don't take such movements very serious. That's my take on humble submission.
Okay, because even Monday Okpebolo made a comment when he was making his own speech that he is in his home front. He doesn't have so much urge to campaign there because his people say that they are going to give him block votes. But in as much as we know that in every corner of Nigeria there are other party members, there are other party executives, and there are other party intentions in those places. Even in Ishan, which is his home front, the APC has competition there. Is it that it's just a carry-go situation for the senatorial district, on the central senatorial district, which he represents per se? Or is there going to be an opposition coming from Godwin Obaseki's PDP, presenting Asue Godalo to win the block votes from the central, which might be their birthright as at now, because they have not gone for governorship before. But definitely the PDP, the LP, and other parties are looking to capitalize.
If you look at the antecedent of Atn Politics, right from 1999 to date, Ishan has always been the home front, the stronghold of the PDP. Right from the days of Attorney Anene, yeah, and the rest of them, they were able to galvanize and mobilize support for PDP in Edo State from that Ishan and the Fuga area. I mean, there's Sako.
Yeah.
You know, Edo, they have the Oredo, they have the Ishan, they have their Sako, then they have the Edo North, which is the Auchi people.
Auchi.
So,
Afemai.
So if you look at it technically, the Ishan is a stronghold of the PDP. So if some members of the party are moving from PDP to APC, for me, it's also a good sign for APC that the party is gradually gaining acceptance into the Ishan area. But the good thing is that the result of the election will speak. That's why in the game of football, they will tell you after 90 minutes or worst case scenario, 120 minutes or a penalty shootout. So let everybody stay action, go to the field, do your proper campaigns and mobilization. Let everything, all these promises translate into votes proper, and result will speak for itself.
Okay, concerning, we know that Edo State is a very, very special and peculiar place when it comes to politicizing. Almost everybody in Edo State is a political animal. They want to participate actively. I mean, even those that you think that are not politicians are well aware of the political gimmicks that are at play. Not even to talk about non-state actors. I mean, you're talking of National Union of Road Transport Workers, you're talking of Market Women Association, you're talking of various non-state, non-executive actors in the sphere. Are they going to be able to work according to INEC guidelines in order to forestall any case of electoral violence and maybe even the cases of vote buying and such other anomalies that happen during elections, sir?
You know, I've said it over and over that politics itself is a business of all comers. It's not like a trade union. It's not like a professional body where it's exclusively reserved for either members of the association or people who are in that trade. Politics encompasses everybody. So you must be able to carry all shades of interest along. Then the only thing is for the party to properly educate them, sensitize and mobilize them, let them know the do's and don'ts, which I believe all the parties are doing, because politics has come to stay in Nigeria. We've had it, and we've never had it this good before, where we've had 25 years of uninterrupted democratic activities. So if you look at it, I believe now that the people are becoming more mature. But the only thing which I find quite disturbing is vote buying. And when people sell their votes, they are selling their futures collectively. And for me, I've always said it that the best bet is for us to have some form of electoral reforms. And once there are electoral reforms, most of these things will be nipped in the bud, even without the party sensitizing their members.
Okay, fair enough. We'll leave every other permutations until the elections itself come to bear and may the best win as concerns Edo State. And now we are leaving that terrain, moving to the next story of the All Progressive Congress have placed an embargo on sectional and unauthorized meetings within the party by aspirants or their allies ahead of November 16th local government elections in Ogun State. This is contained in a statement in Abeokuta by APC chairman Yemi Sanusi. Sanusi said unless and until the party announced or called for meetings, any persons organizing or attending meetings concerning the coming elections did so at his own peril.
Is this a form of internal control, or the party is trying to be autocratic at the level, or the governor through the chairman is speaking so that they won't overheat the system? But if you look at it also from the other point of view, it's not too good to even overheat the system. Exactly. It's like when the game, or when they have not signaled the start of the race by the gun, there's no need to jump the gun. I know once you jump gun, it's an offense, you get automatically disqualified. So what the party is doing is to forestall some kind of party discipline. And once there is that internal discipline, that means the party has a direction. So if you look at it from the rational point of view, there's a clear-cut direction by the leadership of the party to bring everybody under some form of control in order not to overheat the system and the polity. It's a good one for me.
Okay, but you know, we usually have these notices already unofficially. But when it comes to the position, when it comes to the part where it has to be publicized, do you think that there might be something that cannot be controlled? Because in as much as we know in parties, there are always those caveats that please, what we said here should not be taken outside. After this meeting, no other meetings should hold apart from when the leader calls the meetings. But when it gets to escape to the pages of the newspaper, and I mean, with sanctions being placed if it happens, I mean, there should be a fish smelling somewhere.
For me, if you really want to play or to be in the game, you must play by the rules. So the party, they have put their own rules and regulation. It's either you ship in or you ship out. If it's not convenient for you, you look for another party. So whether you like it or not, there must be that internal discipline. And once internal discipline is in place, there's a proper or right foundation. That's my humble submission. Because if you take a closer look at it, in a place where there's no order, where there's no discipline, anarchy, chaos becomes the order of the day. Before you know what's happening, it becomes subject to litigation with various court orders from even courts of coordinate jurisdiction.
Yes, but I still see it from the aspect of, I mean, there must be some personalities, some stakeholders that have discordant tunes that wants to sit and discuss this, but these meetings were not allowed. There might be some other players in the party that have that disagree with some statements, that disagree with some policies of the party, and they are hoping that there should be a conference for them to be able to talk things out, but it is not allowed. I sense a dictatorial stance in being able to muzzle, not actually discipline, but muzzle the members of the APC in Ogun State from meeting, and perhaps if those meetings occur, it might give room for discontented people to air their opinions and might even lead to a split in the party. Do you think there's something fishy going on?
For me, I'm not smelling the rat. Well, I'm not smelling the rat, but if there's something fishy in the days to come, it will definitely come up. You cannot shut people up completely.
Exactly.
If this is a caveat or it's a dictatorial tendency, in the days to come, some people might speak from the anonymous point of view, and we'll get to know the truth. That's my...
because, you know, it's an APC state. It's an APC state. Why should an APC state... And I have been following up political news. This is the first time I'm seeing a political party ban meetings, internal meetings, expressly enforcing it on national newspapers and saying that you do not do this. I sense and I feel that there might be, my opinion does not matter at this point, but I think that there might be a discordant tune, there might be a schism that might be coming up that they are trying as much as possible to cover up for, being that they want to present themselves in a full package before the local government elections. But maybe the chairman of the party in the state has a different candidate from the people, the ones that the people want. And if the people gather, they will have to reshuffle those candidates before the local government elections.
Well, for me, these are mere assumptions.
Okay.
Until those involved, the dramatic persons and the stakeholders who has contrary views and opinion, until they speak out, that's when we will know whether there are oppositions or there are disconcerting views. Otherwise, let's just look at it from the surface and prima facie level that it's an internal control, an internal disciplinary mechanism. Because if you look at it, the party, our greatest challenge has been party discipline. So if you take hold of it, they are laying a proper foundation for the party to do very well at the main election. But let's still keep your fingers crossed. In the days to come, there might be some dissenting views and opinion, either from straightforward or anonymous point of view. The truth will come out.
Our democracy is based on freedom of speech and expression. Does party discipline has to be at the expense of being able to express their own their views? Should it be? This now, let's leave Ogun State. Let's put it out in the plain field.
Okay.
It should party discipline override and overrule personal expressions of opinion, personal expressions of doubt, personal expressions of their own thoughts. Should it be that because the party supersedes, the party should be able to muzzle and dictatorially stop anybody from even airing an opinion, even having a meeting concerning their own political future?
First, for you to join a political party, I believe there are terms and conditions, or there are constitutions of the party, there are standing orders, there are laws that governs the party.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is one of them. If it's not one of them, if they are just bringing it because of the local government election, then they expand it and look at it. Otherwise, for me at this point, let's just let the sleeping dog lie. Look at Ogun State critically. If there are dissenting opinion and voices, then we start. But on the contrary, also, for you to be in an organization, you must have that first freedom of association, freedom of speech, and freedom of movement. But also know that most of these laws, or if not all, they have certain laws guiding it, like the freedom of speech. There is law of slander and libel. If freedom of association, law of unlawful gathering, so that these things do not get to a stage where they will be abused. But in Ogun State for now, let's wait if people will speak. But in a party is supposed to be a place where everybody should be able to air their view concerning the issues on ground or whatever they are discussing at that point. So let's just wait and look at it from that point of view. But in all, or in every sense of humility, democracy itself, it's supposed to be presence of opposition, and opposition should be constructive and viable, not destructive opposition. There are some oppositions that will make leaders sit up. There are some oppositions that will make a leader think outside the box and become very proactive, so that you don't get opposed by these people. It puts leaders on their toes. Opposition and dissenting voices, but it shouldn't be something that will be abused. It shouldn't be something that will be blown out of proportion. A matter that should be handled like a family matter, you go on air and blow it out of proportion. For every political situation, first and foremost, is supposed to have a political means, a political mechanism of settling it. Then if it doesn't work, they might go into robust litigation.
Okay, you see in the PDP presently, there is that dissenting voice, which is not criminal. It's not against the principle of the party, but at the same time, it's a dissenting voice. The G5, they are still existing, and their voice is still heard. And the leader of the G5, Mr. Nyesom Wike, he's still piping hot. He's daring the party to listen to Edwin Clark if they want to. And Edwin Clark, he has challenged him that you are not a member of the party. What party do you belong to tell my party to discipline me? And what was the reasons for his dissenting opinion? The Southern candidate was supposed to come according to our agreement. But because of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, you are able to bend the rule. And I have decided to support a Southern candidate that eventually won, and I am in his cabinet. Why should I be punished for respecting what the party was supposed to do? That's an example of a dissenting voice. Do you think that if the PDP wanted to do exactly what the APC is doing in Ogun State now, that the G5 will still be existing?
Within every system, you cannot rule out the absence of pressure groups. And pressure groups, their major aim, or the aims of every pressure group, is selfish. Just to satisfy that desire that this is what we want, this is what we feel that is right at every point in time. But if you look at the case of PDP's problem, for me, they are architects of their misfortune, whatever that is happening within the party. And a house divided against itself can never stand. Politics and political party, I tell people, is an all-comer affair. You don't sideline people, you don't shut down people's voices. What happened in the PDP in last year's general election, I think, is an eye-opener for every political party, especially those in opposition, not to go into election with so much arrogance.
Okay, I get your point. All right, for we here in Atlantic Television Network, we are still open for advert placements, bookings, and commercials You can do that by connecting with us and watch us also on our ATN socials on Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, on X, formerly Twitter, Atlantic TV Net, and watch us live on our website, atlanticnetwork.tv. I have been speaking with a political analyst, Okechukwu Edenkwo, and we will go for this short break, and when we come back, more to come from our guest in the house. Stay tuned. My pleasure to welcome you back to ATN Politics, right here in the studios of Atlantic Television Network in the big political city of Port Harcourt. I have been discussing with a political analyst of no mean repute. I'm talking of none other than Okechukwu Edenkwo, and we have been dissecting political issues around the country, Nigeria. And we have the story to also discuss on, and let's hear his point of view concerning this. It goes thus: despite selling its downstream operations as far back as 2015, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar yesterday accused President Bola Tinubu of mortgaging the oil industry to his family and associates, citing the alleged control of OVH an oil industry operator by Oando PLC, owned by Wale Tinubu. Atiku said he believed that even after Tinubu leaves office, it would be nearly impossible to break the shackles comparing Tinubu's alleged integration of his business interests into Lagos public enterprises to his current attempts at the federal level. In a statement by his media aide, Paul Ibe, Atiku argued that just as Alpha Beta, Primero, and others act as Tinubu's proxies in Lagos, managing critical sectors and generating revenue for him and his family, he has begun to replicate this at the federal level. He expressed astonishment at the operations of the NNPC and wondered how the government-owned oil company has allegedly put its retail arm under the control of OVH, a company in which he said Oando, led by Wale Tinubu, owns 49%. Atiku regretted that his intention to privatize the NNPCL and increase its transparency has been overshadowed by what he described as the criminal hijack of the NNPC by corporate cabals around the current president. You have a first salvo before I ask any questions?
Well, it takes a thief to catch a thief.
Oh, he stole that from me. Now, there was also an interview with Wale Tinubu, and Wale Tinubu said outrightly that OVH was bought when, as of 2001, 2003, when the vice president then, which is Atiku Abubakar, was in charge of privatization. So he sold the company to the Tinubus during his term, the first term, as the vice president of Nigeria. Now, he is crying foul. And Wale Tinubu said that the company had been sold since 2015. So, how is Atiku's claim that Tinubu is hijacking the oil industry using OVH and NNPC when OVH has been sold since 2015? Is he trying to cry wolf? Is he trying to say something other than what we are hearing?
This oil matter in Nigeria is something that we start discussing. It's a discourse for one full day. One thing is a discourse for the rot that is going on in the oil industry. It's only God that will deliver Nigeria from that rot. It has been highly criminalized. It has been bastardized to an extent that it has become pitiable, laughable, and despicable. What Atiku is saying is not far from the truth, even if he's saying it from the biased point of view. But truth be told, no matter where it's coming from, what is happening in the oil industry or in the oil and gas sector is something that if we're not careful, in the next 16 years, we won't recover from it. You can't mortgage the corporate future of an entire nation into a microscopic few. And it's not the idea, it's not the dream of the founding father of Nigeria or the modern day Nigeria. They wanted a free and egalitarian society where things will go on the way they are planned, where the son of a nobody will become somebody without knowing anybody. But today, the reverse is the case. So much rot going on in the oil sector. And it's pitiable, it's laughable, and it's something that calls for urgent actions to be taken.
Like what kind of actions can you suggest?
At this point, I think it needs a complete overhauling and rejigging, because so many things have gone wrong. So many things. And so when the foundation is faulty, there's nothing the righteous can do. So they already laid a very wrong foundation, and the result now is becoming very devastating. And look at a situation in this country. We have 4 refineries, major refineries. None of them has been able to produce up to maximum capacity. Yet, we import fuel, we import natural gas every day.
Do you think that is where the problem is? The importers of petrol might not want the refineries to work, might not want crude to be sold to Dangote refineries and other artisanal refineries and other refiners of oil in Nigeria in order to make sure that they can always import. Do you think that the cabal that are in charge of importing petrol would not want us to be able to refine petrol here?
Okay, can I crave your indulgence for one thing? Would you be kind enough to allow me respond to your question by asking you a question?
Okay, but I do ask the questions here.
Let me bridge it.
Okay, but it should be a rhetorical question.
Yes.
Okay.
If you are an importer of generator in this country, would you allow power supply, electricity to be constant? You would not. So it takes someone who has a political will to muzzle you as an importer to soft pedal so that the power sector can work very well. So all we need is a government that has a political will to offend people, take critical decisions that will be in the overall interest of the federation. That way we can move forward. If not, we'll still be groping in darkness.
That kind of personality, should he have an experience in the oil industry, or he should be a neophyte coming from the non-extractive industry to be able to stamp his feet down, or he should be a professional in that circle to be able to effect that kind of change that we need there?
In life, nobody knows it all. All we just need is someone who has the political will, who has the heart to take very critical decisions. If you have professionals working with you, you have technocrats working with you, and they come up with ideas, and you look at it on paper that this is good, then you take the decision, take that bold step, no matter who is offended, no matter whose ox is God, so long as Nigerians are happy, you're good to go. So the most important thing is someone with the political will.
Okay. We recently heard that there are different names that they called it, but the NNPC is going back to subsidy, giving orders by the presidency that they should, although there are other names that they called it, I don't want to delve into all that, but subsidy is finding its way back. What do you pretend that might be? What will be the effect? Is it going to bring down, is the price of petrol going to fall, or is it going to be business as usual? We'll be paying subsidy and still take petrol even at almost 1,000 naira per litre.
Ken,
yes, sir.
To be fair to you, in all honesty, I think what they're just doing is going around in circle. Not until our refineries begin to work at optimum capacity, we would continue to go through this harrowing experience. Why? Our economy is import driven, and it's putting pressure on the naira because of the huge demand for dollar to satisfy that foreign import. The only way is for our refineries to start producing at optimum capacity. The price will drop on its own. Because whether I like it or not, the market forces of demand and supply will definitely crash the price, and not even government policies. The only policy is that let these refineries begin to work. One, let us also allow people to establish modular refineries. Let's also encourage businessmen who has all it takes to go into refinery. Then lastly, if the NNPC cannot manage the refineries, it has been proven all over the world that government cannot run businesses like this. Sell it at zero kobo to willing investors. Let them come in, look at it. A whole lot of work is going on in the NNPC, where people are collecting salary and doing nothing. So they do a personnel audit, cut down the wage, and look at how the refineries will work. If the equipments are obsolete, since as a young boy in my early days in the university, I've been hearing of turnaround maintenance till today. They have been maintaining. Nothing has been able to come out of, or nothing productive has come out of all the maintenances. So I pray this should be the last one, so that we will start producing. Look at the refinery in Kaduna, it's a rot. Exactly. Look at the one in Warri. Look in Port Harcourt. Don't also remember, we have 2 refineries in Port Harcourt, exactly, making it 4. But the truth is that they must allow people to establish refineries. Let's have a level playing field. See what happened in the communication industry.
Yeah.
In the late 90s, it was exclusively reserved for the rich. But today, so many players have come into the communication, and if you want to have up to 8 lines, you can have it at reduced price.
Exactly.
Call rates reduced, SMS rates reduced, even the internet fast, it's also gone down. See so many people now using and having access to the internet because the price has gone down. So if they allow major players with the right business mentality come into the oil and gas industry, have set up refineries and all that, the prices will definitely drop on its own and not everyday subsidy. They still want to, so that, you know, this whole rot scam going on. Like I said before, subsidy has always been a scam in this country, where they use to rip us up of our commonwealth and our collective patrimony.
Very true. Very true. Now, the last protest that took place, everything that everybody was going for and asking for was the return of subsidy. Return of subsidy. And now there's a return of subsidy. Do you think that it should continue? How long should the subsidy continue?
Subsidy, for me, it's a necessary evil. Why I say it's a necessary evil is that, one, is something that you can avoid. And the only way to avoid it is a hard way. Let our refineries work, produce up to optimum. The prices will drop instead of funding imports at an exorbitant rate, still to satisfy the same cabal that has monopolized the oil and gas, or especially the petroleum aspect of this country. So for me, Albert Einstein says madness is doing the same thing the same way and expecting a different result.
Okay. We'll let that sleeping dog also lie until the future proves us wrong. Then we will still sit here to discuss about other options on how to liberate ourselves from the oil glut that we found ourselves in. All right, let's move on to the United States of America, where former Nigeria's Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, alongside other prominent Nigerian political figures, are currently making waves at the 2024 Democratic National Convention in the heart of Chicago, United States, as a distinguished guest of the National Democratic Institute, NDI, a prestigious organization fiercely devoted to championing democratic values across the globe. Among the notable attendees is the resolute Labour Party's 2023 presidential candidate Peter Obi and the influential former Senate President Ken Nnamani. While the NDI has confirmed an invitation extended to Tajuddin Abbas, the Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives, speculations surround whether he will join his assembly of political heavyweights. We have seen a situation that it's very easy for our politicians to go sample what is happening elsewhere and see and enjoy part of it. But it's been very hard to replicate it in Nigeria. Are the Nigerians the problem, or are the politicians the problem? Why are we not able to replicate what we learn from others right here in our country?
I think it's as a result of a systemic failure. And once the system is bad, it takes a complete overhaul for that system to come alive. You know, in every system there are subsystems, but this one now, the complete system itself is gone bad, especially our democratic system. First, we've never had a peaceful, a transparent form of electing people. So once we have that transparent form of election, where the best emerge, and not a situation where mediocres emerge at the expense of the best, we'll keep going through this experience. First, like I said here earlier, for this whole thing to work, our electoral system needs to be reformed, so that way, if you go outside, you attend some of these conferences, you might bring it to bear here. It's quite unfortunate that the system has always worked against those who they think can do very well. They've always worked the system, the cabal. They are afraid of those people.
Okay, because the convention that they went for right now is a convention that has two distinct changes and propositions that were made by the Democratic Party. First of all, there was the example that Joe Biden could really step down from advice from his party faithful and stakeholders. You should step down. You're getting old.
Apart from the fact that he's getting old, I think his health is also failing.
Exactly.
So if his health is failing, the best thing to do is they better sacrifice Joe Biden and win the election than for them, because they want to please Joe Biden, and fail the election. So that's why I say it takes that will, strong will, for people to come out open and say, hey, you can't be part of this election. If you're part of it, we're definitely going to lose. Unlike some parts of Africa where I see some persons that are bedridden, some are practically being pushed, and they are winning election for the 5th and 6th time. But now America, they know very well that if they allow Joe Biden become part of that election, they have already lost the election.
Will we be able to learn from that example?
I pray we do so.
And there is another example, being that the vice president, first of all, was selected initially. A woman was able to get to the point of being a vice president. And now she has been thrown up for the top 1 position of the president. Would Peter Obi, would Ken Nnamani, would Osibanjo, when they come back here, would they be able to influence their parties to be able to adopt those kind of measures that they learned from the Democratic National Convention to bear on Nigeria, that we should allow for the women to also rise even up to the vice presidency? We should also see that those that are very ill and may not be able to continue maintaining political offices be able to step down like Joe Biden. Do they look like the personalities that will bring that to bear in our political terrain?
Well, time will tell. But for the likes of Obi, Osibanjo, Ken Nnamani to be part of that Democratic Congress, I believe they must have learned a couple of things. For a woman to become the vice president or hold high political office in this country, it's a good thing. Women, they've risen to deputy governors, they've been in the Senate. At some point, we had Etiaba, Dame Etiaba, as a stopgap governor in Anambra State before he came back and reclaimed his mandate. I would want a situation where women will aspire to the top offices. And today, too, the incoming Chief Justice of the nation is a lady. And I also want to be part of history where a lady will be the president of Nigeria, and also in my lifetime see a woman become the president of America. But once they are well equipped, nothing stops them from aspiring for high offices all over the world.
Okay. Do you see women being able to do that? I mean, not just we being able to empower them, but are Nigerian women capable of taking the bull by the horn?
Of course, they can. Thank God, our former president, who says his wife belongs to the Oza room, that belongs to the Oza room and not the political front.
Exactly.
That's his own mentality.
Exactly.
But as a man, if you have an understanding with your spouse, and she assures you, there's no level you cannot push your spouse to. Because they say behind every successful man, there's a woman. I also want a situation where they say behind every successful woman, there's a man also pushing him. Not just a man, the support of her spouse to push her to greater heights.
Okay. I want to say that in as much as we have been able to see through the discussions and the postulations today, I want to say that we will still have this opportunity same time next week to deliberate on more topics. But this is not over. Same time tomorrow, we will still be on air. And to view this commentary and these postulations during this interview, if you missed it from the start, do well to go to our social media websites, which I'll call out. But before I do that, I want to thank our guest, Okechukwu Edenkwo, a political analyst, for coming and sharing his 2 cents, and sharing his postulations with us. It's a pleasure, sir.
Always a great delight. Looking forward to doing this.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. From your host, Raymond Ken Mbata, this is where we wrap it up. And stay connected on our ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1. On X, formerly Twitter, Atlantic TV Net, or watch us live on our website, atlanticnetwork.tv. From the staff and management of Atlantic Television Network, want to say peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching and stay tuned.